Okay, Veach, I think we should all be able to hear you now.
All right, you guys, can you hear me, Brad?
We can hear you, yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys for staying up and hopping on the Zoom chat here. Certainly, we're excited to welcome Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the Chiefs Kingdom. I think certainly our scouting staff did a great job. I had the chance for the last really 2 weeks to kind of work through a pocket of players that we thought might be there, and it was funny because about 4 or 5 days ago, I talked to Coach and I said we're getting a bunch of teams calling to see if we want to trade up. So I don't know if they just knew that we were super aggressive, or that was kind of the mindset of the teams kind of just looking to get out. But once Green Bay moved up, to draft the quarterback, which made sense to get that fifth-year option, the phones kind of went silent, and we were totally fine with that because we were super excited, to stay true to our board and draft what we feel is just a unique player and a unique talent. And then you throw him in with this offense. It's going to be really exciting. So with that little brief intro, I'll turn it over and let you guys ask some questions.
Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Brett, how you doing?
Good, Adam. How you doing?
Good, thanks. What do you like about Edwards-Helaire as opposed to, say, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor? Can you sort of say what made him stand out among those other two? And was it not a difficult separation for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, all three of those guys are really good players. The kid, just his interior running ability, the vision and the instincts are rare and unique. I mean, the guy has the ability to kind of play the game in slow motion, lateral agility, vision, his ability to start and stop and redirect his hands out of the backfield. Some of those guys you mentioned, they have some guys have the one trait, some guy has the other trait. We felt like he kind of had all those traits. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, when we were kind of just working through the wave of this process, once we get to a point, I kind of give Coach a couple guys to take a peek on. And I told Coach, I said, wait do you finish up your work on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He's going to remind you of Brian Westbrook. And Coach called me back. He said, he's better than Brian. So, and that's no slight to Brian because got a chance to play against him firsthand at Delaware, and he was a Ring of Fame honor player in Philadelphia. So he's a unique talent. The guy is explosive. He has the ability to kind of make stuff out of nothing, and that's, I think, the one thing you look at with these running backs. I mean, this guy can consistently make plays when there really is nothing there to be made. So again, throwing him now with Tyreek and Sammy and Travis and Damian Williams in the backfield, and McCall on the outside, we think it'll be really exciting.
Nate Taylor.
Hey, Brett. Thanks for doing this. My question is, you talked with Clyde at the Combine. Just what did you feel like you learned about the person as well as you were trying to get through the prospects of seeing what he did on tape throughout the course of his college career?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with him there. Our scouts that went in there, Mike Bradway, Willie Davis, the coaches just rave about the kid, all business, loves the game, loves to work, loves to compete. Picks up the game quickly, very high football IQ. He's going to come in right away and pick up this offense quickly. I always worry about with the complexities of our offense about just how long it'll take guys where the coaches feel comfortable. But everyone that you talk to at LSU, they rave about his football character and his football IQ, and then you throw in the talent that he has with that. We think he can come in right away and be a big factor in this offense.
Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Brett, how are you, man?
Hey, Herbie, how you doing?
Hey, I'm well, thanks.
Good.
You mentioned Andy Reid came back and said that he's better than Brian Westbrook. Well, how much input did he have with this pick outside of that comment that made you decide to take him?
Well, I mean, look, Coach and I, obviously, we've been working together a long time. So, he obviously he always has a chance to kind of review the tape and add his input. Super supportive of the process and how our guys go about their work. And he's always the first one to say, "You guys did all the work. I don't want to, I don't want to come in the last minute." But we do a good job of making sure that we watch so many guys and we stack the board, and it takes a ton of time. It takes a full year. But once you get into these pockets where these guys are so close, you're certainly going to have Coach coaches watch, and we do that, once we get through the fall and we come to the combine. I mean, we'll start with a big stack, and then our assistant coaches can kind of, shave a little fat off that, and then our coordinators, and then when it gets to coach, kind of just have him look at this thing toward the end here and put the final touches on it. But I mean, listen, the guy's the Hall of Fame coach, so I think you want to kind of hear what he says about players and what he thinks. But I knew that, again, knowing kind of how coach works, and knowing that we were around Brian Westbrook for so long, just the uncanny similarities, I think, jumped out in my mind, and coach kind of saw it the same way. But he was super excited when he got a chance to watch him, and that thought was shared throughout our entire personnel department.
Harold Kuntz.
Hey, Brett. Hope you're doing all right. Hey, I just want to ask you about as the draft progressed and you saw some cornerbacks being taken in the later rounds, what made you kind of decide at that point, I'm going to go with a running back instead of maybe another defensive player as it progressed?
Yeah, I mean, we just, it sounds cliche to say the best player available, but I mean, this guy, we view this guy as extraordinary running back and a rare talent for the things he can do. We had a pocket of guys. Some were offensive linemen, some were corners, some were linebackers. And the way it worked out and where we picked and what was left, we just felt like he was the best player, and it made the most sense for us. Wasn't a lot of trade dialogue. We really didn't have any calls once Green Bay traded up. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we were happy with that because we certainly view this guy as a franchise type running back.
Danny Wilniak.
Hey, Brett. I want to look a little bit forward. What is the toughest part of going into tomorrow? You guys got the guy you want in the first round, but how difficult does it become then for the next couple of rounds tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's certainly why you put in all the time, just to make sure that you have the numbers work out and have the stacks where you think they belong. Tomorrow we'll get up and we'll have another web chat with our scouts. And, we spent so much time really the last few weeks just really kind of narrowing down, all right, you have the logical selections everybody has in their mind. I think every team has 10 to 15 players that are consensus. These guys are going to go. Once you get into the 20s, you start to see a little bit of, team-specific scheme and what they need, that kind of thing. So I thought our personnel staff did a really good job. I think we had like 6 guys that, we said if we didn't move up or we didn't move back and we stayed there at 32, these kind of guys would be there. And then it was kind of like clockwork, right around 24, 25, these guys start all going off. And but we'll do the same process tomorrow now. It'll just be, eliminate the first round, eliminate all those players. We'll go back and we'll look at all the names on the board again, and we'll kind of stack these guys, and then we'll get to a point where we feel like, again, just like today, when we're at 231, if we don't move up or move back, we feel confident these will be the guys, and we'll kind of stack them in the order. And if we don't trade up, we're just going to go in that order.
Matt Derrick.
Hey, Brett. Thanks for your time as always.
Hey, Mike.
Just looking at what the other teams in the AFC West did, especially with the Chargers going and getting their quarterback and the Raiders and Broncos both going for receivers early. What's your kind of takeaway how the draft unfolded in the first round tonight? And how does, seeing them go after so much offense early, does that affect your draft plans at all later on?
I don't know if it really affects, our draft plan, because I think we stick to just wanting to work on our team and our roster. And I think, having obviously the opportunity to win a Super Bowl, I don't think we're competing against any one team. We're competing against all 31 teams. So we got to continue to identify weaknesses and find really good players that we know are going to come in and play right away. We want these guys to, we don't want that learning curve to be so steep. Clyde was a guy, high football IQ, high football character, dynamic playmaker, can step in right away and have him under contract for 5 years. So I think we just always internalize this process, and we just look for ways to make our team better. And we know that if we continue to make our roster better, then the wins will take care of themselves on Sunday.
Hey, guys, we probably have time for a few more because we got to get Claude as well. So we're going to go Todd Levo, Nate Taylor, and Adam. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, Brett, a little bit
about what Matt was kind of asking there about the West. A lot of quarterback with the Chargers. They haven't drafted a quarterback in a long time, and a couple of speed wide receivers with the Raiders and the Broncos there early. Just what are your thoughts about what else happened in the division?
Yeah, I think teams certainly they got to score some points against us. I think even if you have a really good defense, it's hard to stop our offense. So I think that teams are certainly ready for track meet when they play the Chiefs. And it's going to be an exciting time for our division. Certainly some great players were drafted by the Chargers and the Raiders and the Broncos. So our division is always tough and competitive. And I think the talent added to those teams will make this even more exciting for our fans.
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, Brett. I know you were heavily involved in the 2017 draft and obviously orchestrating the trade to get Patrick Mahomes. But as general manager of the Chiefs, this is your first pick in the first round. I just want to know what was the process like for you to have a first round pick? And you've mentioned before on several occasions the idea of getting Patrick another weapon on offense. Just how much did you feel like that was a priority that needed to be addressed sooner rather than later in the draft?
Well, I think our priority going into the draft was really just add talent, and certainly every team has philosophies, and that's no different with us. You're going to get a quarterback, and then you're going to build O-line, D-line, corners, and what have you. But I mean, never to lose sight in this process is at the end of the day, you're just collecting really good players, and there's values placed on certain positions, and we do the same thing. But when you have a guy that you think is a Pro Bowl running back, that's a high value too. So, I think, listen, you get a chance to get a guy that's this talented, that can add so much to the offense. A young guy can run, can catch, can block, and return. It's hard to pass up those guys for the sake of extra picks or for a guy that you think is good. We think this guy could be great.
Okay, Adam, go ahead and close us out.
Brett, Edwards-Helaire, obviously not the biggest guy at 5'7", about 205 or so. Do you project him to ever be a kind of a regular featured back for you guys, much like, say, Kareem Hunt was for a while or Jamal Charles before him?
I think because of the type of offense, Adam, that we are, I do. I think if we were more traditional, two tight end set, power run game, certainly there would be some questions. But I think the way we can spread teams out and make them play east and west, and the threat of our vertical passing game, and then again, this kid's low center of gravity, his ability to make people miss. I think just the way that our offense is constructed, I think this guy will thrive, and I think he'll be able to handle a workload.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Brett.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, guys.